Rick, 5 teams from Berkshire County made it to championship Saturday at the Curry-Hicks Cage, and we had a lot of great action.
Yeah, Northern Berkshire Community Television was there to cover the Who's It girls and the Drury boys. We're going to talk about that and a lot more coming up right now on High School Basketball Weekly.
Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, welcome to High School Basketball Weekly. Tim Moore alongside of Rick Bua. And Rick, what a championship Saturday it was down at the Curry-Hicks Cage. Some great games, a tremendous atmosphere, big crowds, great support from Berkshire County, and we were there to cover it all.
Yeah, it started out in the morning, the D4 girls with the Mount Everett Eagles taking on Hopkins, and it was a full day of basketball. Berkshire County well represented. We talk about that all the time, but let's get right to the action.
Well, we certainly will. And what more can you say about the Drury Blue Devils, Rick? In Division 4, they squared off against Ware for the Division 4 Western Mass Championship, an opportunity for Drury to bring home their first title in a long time. And boy, what a good game it was for Drury.
Yeah, it really was. You know, they took on Pioneer Valley, kind of like an arch nemesis of theirs after that heartbreaking loss last year. But Coach Reset got them back to work, back in the gym, and put that victory aside. They celebrated for a very short period of time, got to work to take on the #1 seed Ware Indians. And I told Coach Reset, I had a feeling that what happened last year was going to happen this year. The #3 last year beat the 2 and then beat the 1. And I said, I think you got a really good chance, Coach, to do that. But I'll tell you, it was a great ball game. And, you know, Ware a formidable opponent. For sure, you know, #1 only coming in with a couple of losses, and they battled hard, but Drury hung close and played with the lead pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, they got some great effort. Drury, of course, the usual suspects, Reese Reset and Scott McGuire. Hunter Sarkis had a nice game for Drury as well.
Yeah, they talk about so much, Tim. We talk about it on the show, and Coach Reset talks about it all the time. You know what you're going to get out of Reset McGuire. But, you know, with Hunter Sarkis, you know, he had a great game. He had 3 threes. He had 11 points, and I think he had 10 of those points, Tim, in the third quarter. So Hunter really came through. He was really down after the Pioneer game. He did everything except score, but he was the third guy in double figures, and the Coach Reset needed that really bad in that game.
No question about it. And, of course, you know, the usual suspects were the Drury boys, Reese Reset and Scott McGuire. Really, Ware had no answer for them. Right?
No, they didn't. You know, they hadn't seen each other. They probably just maybe scouted each other and had game film. But Reset here with a nice one off the glass, and he had a huge game. And McGuire, it's been 1-2 all season long. McGuire has led the team in scoring in all but 2 games all season long. He's scored over 30 points in as many games as he scored over 20. So it was like you said, Tim, it was a great atmosphere. Berkshire County well represented. You know, the sea of blue with Drury and the red coming in with Hoosick Valley playing right afterwards. So it was a great day.
Absolutely, and of course Scott McGuire just continued to fill it up for Drury, leading scorer for the Blue Devils. And what more can you say about the junior? Clearly one of the top players in any division in Western Massachusetts.
Yeah, absolutely, and he can play inside and outside. His MO, he's got a beautiful 3. He's got great moves to the hoop, great body control and ball control.
Right.
Soft jumpers, anything. He's the real deal everywhere.
I thought the key to this game, Rick, when I was there, of course, you called the game. I thought the key to the game was the pace. I don't think Ware could just keep up with that Drury pace. Wore them down. There were a lot of players from Ware that were exhausted at certain parts of the game. They just weren't ready to play at that speed for that long.
Yeah, I agree, Tim, wholeheartely. The one team that I think can run and could run is, I believe, the second best team in D4 in Western Mass, and that's the Pioneer Valley Panthers.
Right.
Other than that, Ware was not up for the challenge. And, you know, everybody, we wait for seeding Saturday. We do our live show here at the studio, and we talk about the seedings and what's fair and what's not fair. But I can tell you that Coach Reset was not upset with the 3 seed. There were a couple teams he wanted to stay away from, and he did. And he got the teams that he knew he was probably going to get. And the first championship for the Blue Devils since 1990. Incredible feeling as Coach Reset and the boys accepted their first trophy in so long.
Right.
And I don't know, Coach Reset may have had as good a team in the past as he had, but you never know how the competition is.
That's right.
And
it's the way the ball bounces.
It really
and
does.
As the coaches will tell you, it's not easy to win them. You get down there, and there are a lot of things that can go right, a lot of things that can go wrong. You play the game, and it's the way the ball bounces a lot of times. And this past Saturday, it bounced right for Drury. They are the Division IV Western Mass champions. They deserved it. We had them at the top of the pack all year long, Rick, and it's no surprise to me that they finally prevailed and got the championship that they've long sought.
And every week, Tim, when we show our unofficial rankings here, what you and I and Peter think about the teams, we had Drury #1 except for maybe 1 week and popped them right back up again because wholeheartedly we thought it was them with Ware and Pioneer Valley. It was going to be 1, 2, 3. Someone was going to come out on top, and it was the Blue Devils this year.
And on the girls' side, Rick, Hoosick Valley returning to the Division III Western Mass Championship game against a very, very good Greenfield team, the number 2 and 3 seed. These two teams, by the way, I believe these are the two top teams in Division III. So despite the seedings, this was a game that I think a lot of people wanted to see. I thought it was the game that matched up the two best teams in Division III. And congratulations to Hoosick Valley. They took home the Western Mass Championship in Division III.
Yeah, it was Hoosick, and we had the Hurricanes on top all year too, based upon who they invite for their holiday tournament. Right. They have to go to Foxborough, who they invite for the Coaches versus Cancer, Medfield this year. And so we kept the Hurricanes on top, and we kind of flipped and flopped a little bit with Greenfield and Wacona, and had South Hadley 4 or 5 all year long. And then the seedings came out, and South Hadley was #1, and people were upset about that. But it all prevails when you get down to the cage. Business is taken care of. You have to do it on the floor. The girls did it on the floor.
And how about, the tri-captains? These 3 ladies have been doing it all year for Hoosick Valley. Riley Robinson, Lexi Mercier, and Allie Mendel. And you can't say enough about the Secretary of Defense right there, Riley Robinson. What a game she had. What a stat line in that Western Mass Championship, Rick. She only had 7 points, but she had numerous rebounds, numerous steals, and here you see her right there, banging home a 3. She ran the offense for Hoosick Valley. She was the leading rebounder in the game, had numerous steals, took a charge, and she just did it all.
Yeah, she's an incredible ball player, and she knows the game so well. She's so smart. She sees the floor well. She handles the ball so well. The ball is safe in her hands. It's safe in Shaylee Levesque's hands also.
Right.
But she takes offensive charges, and we talked about that before. And she's a good shooter. She's got to be up there in assists for the team. And she just does it all. That's the type of kid you want on your team. Allison Felix for the Drury Blue Devils is the same way. She plays hard like that. She can handle the basketball, loves to dish, can shoot, can play defense, will take a charge. Riley Robinson, the Secretary of Defense, an incredible player. She played extremely well in that championship game against Greenfield.
Right. They topped Greenfield 56-46, Rick. I thought the key to the game, one of the keys to the game early on was the fact that the outstanding center for Greenfield, Samantha Smith, picked up 2 quick fouls right in the first minute, and that was huge. And you see them here, and that was the second foul, and that was huge, as she had to sit down for a big part of the first half after she got 2 fouls in the first minute of action.
Yeah, Coach Hickey, Tim, he's got a real nice ball club, and he's got 3 exceptional players with Hazelton and Samantha Smith and his daughter Reagan at the point guard. But those 3 kids, they've been the catalyst for this team all season long for the last couple of seasons, right. And they need to stay on the floor, and that really hurt. And the Hurricanes took advantage of that with the 6-foot center on the bench.
And of course, the consistent play of Allie Mendel, the tri-captain, senior tri-captain, 1,000-point scorer. Mendel with her ability to drive to the basket. She creates contact. She gets to the foul line. She had a big game for Hoosick Valley there. She added 14 points, and also played very, very solid defense for Hoosick Valley. And then, of course, Lexi Mercier, undoubtedly one of the top perimeter shooters in Western Mass. And here you see her, she just got going, and she made a lot of big shots. She was the leading scorer in the game for Hoosick, 21, Rick, but she made a bunch of big shots in the fourth quarter. The game was still in question at that point, and every time Greenfield tried to make a run, Mercier was there to hit a basket, and she's tough. When she gets going, she's tough.
Yeah, she can play inside and outside. A lot of people say that they would like to see her play inside a little bit more, but she can attack that hoop. She doesn't attack it quite as much as Allie Mendel does, but when you got an outside shot like that, Tim, you know, she's been a shooter since she was a freshman.
Right.
And she had an exceptional game.
Yeah, and that was a big three-pointer right there in the fourth quarter, and that was huge for Hoosick Valley. And she just made the shots when it counted, as you know, good players do. And congratulations to Lexi Mercier and the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes. They brought home another Western Mass title, their 6th in 7 years, and marched on to the state semifinals, which we'll cover in just a moment. But Rick, while we do have a moment, we'd like to talk about the 3 other teams from Berkshire County. Yep. Mount Everett girls, a huge crowd for that one. They had the starting game of the day Saturday morning down at the Cage, and there was a huge crowd from the down Sheffield way to support this Mount Everett team.
Yeah, this team was built by Scott Rope for several years, Tim. You know, and Gwendolyn Carpenter, the extraordinary senior, the all-time leading basketball scorer in Berkshire County history, along with the Ulrich girls, Madison and Mackenzie,
yes.
and Madeline Von Rood and Marion Devati. These kids have played together since they were little, just like the kids do here in the Adams, Cheshire, North Adams, Clarksburg area. And Scott Rope built this team for a championship. They were the number 4, and they went up against a very, very good Hopkins team and fell a little bit short, falling 76-64. But Gwendolyn Carpenter, Tim, went out with a bang. She ended her career by scoring 34 points, and Madison Ulrich had 10. Her sister Mackenzie had 9 in Scott Rope's final game as head coach down at Mount Everett. So congratulations to that program.
Right.
Those girls co-South winners with Drury this year and got to the championship game. And we thought it was going to be them or Munson. Of course, they had to hook up earlier,
right,
and they took Munson down. But congratulations to Mount Everett and to Gwen Carpenter. Hope she does extremely well in her basketball career.
And Taconic High School, Rick, had 2 teams in championship Saturday, the girls and the boys. And the girls have had a nice year. This is a young Taconic team on the girls' side. They took on Northampton and came up just a little bit short in the championship game. Yeah,
PHS has kind of ruled girls basketball in Pittsfield for a few years now, Tim, and under Coach Rassicott. And the Matt Mickles Taconic team, they did extremely well this year. They battled the North. They battled everybody in the North, including Wauconah and Hoosick Valley,
right,
and gave them good ball games. And they fell a little bit short. They went down to the number 1 team, Northampton, by a score of 46-42 with Sienna Conyers with 16. But boy, they've got some extraordinary kids, a couple graduating, but nice nucleus coming back for Coach Mickle.
Right. On the boys' side, the Taconic Braves, of course, they won the North Division, an outstanding team in Division II. Rick, you know, you've seen them a couple times when they battled with Drury. They won their 2nd consecutive Division II Western Mass title.
Yeah, they won their 18th consecutive game, Tim. Don't forget, they were 1-3 early, losing to some very, very big teams, including Putnam in a good ball game. But they knocked off number 2 Chicopee 66-51 with Isaac Percy with 30 points, Quentin Giddens with 18, Mohammed Sanogo with 10, and they're going to be facing Westboro on tonight, the 12th of March at AIC for the right to go to the state finals.
Right. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't bet against this team. I think this is an outstanding squad. I think they're going to get a shot at the Division II state championship, but we'll have to see what the result is on that game. On the state semifinals Tuesday night, we were there down at AIC, Rick, and on the boys' side, the Drury Blue Devils took on Worcester Tech in a game that I thought was a really hard-fought contest. Drury coming up on the short end of it, in that semifinal game, but it was a whale of a game, and I know you covered it. Drury lost that one 70-62 to Worcester Tech, but the score does not belie how that game really was played out.
No, the Blue Devils did everything they needed to do. They just tried to contain the big guy, Brendan Hamilton, and they did pretty much, and they knocked down a bunch of threes. Hunter Sarkis with a couple of them in the first half, and here's Dante Woodson with a little baseline jumper. So everybody was getting into the action. Reese Reset, they played good man-to-man defense, and Reset found a way. His freshman Timmy Brazo with a nice feed from Reset right there, and it was the third quarter, Tim. There's a beautiful alley-oop to McGuire, one of the prettiest plays of the ball game. McGuire, of course, knocking down some threes. Was a little cold early, but the Blue Devils, Tim, had an issue last night with free throws. They were 9 of 26. They had a real hard time at the free throw line, but they stepped right with them. They actually scored more points than Worcester Tech did in the first and second and fourth quarters, and got beat 25-8, I believe it was, in the third quarter. And that 17-point deficit was just a little bit too much. That, a couple turnovers, and the poor free throw shooting. The better team last night was certainly Worcester, and their big guy slamming one home there. He just took over in the third quarter. He was their leading scorer. But what a season for Coach Reset.
Absolutely. Coach Reset, you can't say enough about the Drury Blue Devils, Rick. Given their performance all season long, they dominated in Division III competition and Division IV competition, and they played. Of course, they played 2 games against Taconic, and they gave Taconic all they could ask for down at Taconic. That was for
they
sure.
did, and again, because Drury plays in the North, our D4 team playing in the North, you would think it would be absurd, but Coach Reset did not want to move. He wanted that competition, and it did make him stronger. And that Worcester Tech team is a very, very good ball club, very athletic bunch of kids, and Drury gave them everything they could possibly handle. Reese Reset's last ball game, it's going to be said, we've been watching Reese play
youth
basketball. He's had a basketball in his hand forever, and he'll be moving on to play college basketball. And Coach Reset said, I need a third scorer. He's going to need some scoring next year. But you know what? Hunter Sarkis will be back, the sharpshooter. I'm sure he's going to get a lot more out of him. And the kid that led Berkshire County in scoring, Scott McGuire, will be back for his senior season next year.
And if you want to watch the Drury Worcester Tech game, that game is going to be rebroadcast tomorrow night, Friday, March 15th at 8 o'clock. It'll be seen also on Saturday, the 16th at 3:30, and then again Wednesday, the 20th at 5:30. So if you want to see some great action, check out that game. It'll be rebroadcast right here on Northern Berkshire Community Television, channel 1302. On the girls' side, Rick, Hoosick versus Millis. Millis moving up from Division IV. They were the Central Mass champions, and the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes, of course, returning to this game for the first time in a year after missing out last year. And wow, what a performance by the Lady Hurricanes as they took on the Mohawks and beat them to win that semi-state semifinal game and march on to the state championship.
Yeah, I mean, right here, Tim, the captains got them going, the three of them. Riley Robinson just running the show, and then Lexi Mercer and Allie Mendel. They played with the lead pretty much the whole game, Tim. I know you and Butch covered that game.
Yes.
And, here's Riley finding the little hole and taking it to the hoop, which she does so well. Creating havoc, and they did what they had to do. Like a little dipsy-do there by Allie Mendel. Everybody got into the action, but they knocked down a bunch of threes, Tim. It wasn't just Mercer and Mendel.
No.
It went all the way around. I mean,
right. They got some contribution off the bench. Annie Canales pulled home a three-pointer as well for Hoosick Valley. Canales came in off the bench to do it, just a sophomore, and she's somebody that Hoosick Valley is going to be looking forward to next year. And talking about this game, Rick, you see it, and of course, and some huge shots. There's Canales' three, but how about the big three-pointers in the fourth quarter to really open this thing up? That was from NBA range there
for Mercer,
by Mercer. But
then you got the freshman coming up here in a moment.
Avery McGrath off the bench as a freshman in the fourth quarter, and here's one of them. She made a couple of huge three-pointers to just quell and shut down any rally by the Mohawk Millis team. Hoosick Valley ultimately prevailing in this one 63-42, and it was a lot closer. And we got somebody on the phone right now who will tell us about how tough a game that was, and that is the head coach of the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes, Ron Wojcik. Coach, congratulations on advancing to the state championship in Division III.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, we're excited for sure.
Well, Coach, let's first focus on this game. We talked about it in the post game yesterday. This game, you guys won going away, but it was a hard-fought contest by two hard-nosed teams.
Absolutely, yeah. And even like I tell the girls, I mean, sometimes you can get a 20-point win, but it's a 20-point win that you maybe win each quarter by just a few points, like 4 or 5 points.
Right.
And if you really looked over the course of the game, that's kind of how it went. I mean, I think we were up 5 at the quarter, 8 at the break, 12 or 14 at the third. So it was a grind to get there. And it's a hard-nosed team. They play hard. They play aggressive. And, I knew they weren't going to stop coming at us. So, yeah, we had to really work to get there. And they only give up, I think somebody told me they only give up like 32 points a game usually.
Right, about 32 points a game on the season, and they average about 51 on offense. So it really shows you what kind of team they are defensively. Coach, I thought as the first half closed that Millis, was really kind of shutting down your offense, and you went into halftime, came out, made some adjustments, did some things, and some shots opened up for you, especially in that late third quarter, early fourth quarter when you inserted Avery McGrath, the freshman, into the game, and your team got some decent looks at the basket.
Yeah, she did. I thought early in the third, I thought some of our defense was pretty good, and we got some stops, which in turned into transition points, getting Lexi out on the wing and stuff, and so that got us going. And then, absolutely right. Yeah, that fourth quarter when Avery was in for Sarah with the 4 fouls, and we saw their center pretty much sagging back, and I just told Avery, I said, you're going to have some opportunities. I said, just knock him down, step up and knock him down, because she's sagging in the paint. She was worried about, I think, Allie's and Riley's drives. So yeah, it worked out great, and she stepped up and made 2 big shots for us.
Absolutely. They came on, and you got some scoring from a lot of different areas. Some players made some great plays, and as always, Coach, you got contributions from different players in different facets of the game.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, so many kids. I mean, it's definitely a team win when you look over everything overall. I mean, certain kids certainly contribute offensively in the scoring column, but there's also a number of kids that are racking up assists, that are racking up steals and offensive and defensive rebounds, and I can't say enough about them. I mean, there's I think everybody looks at points, but it's all those intangibles that you add up during the course of the game that certainly helps with our success.
Coach, you've got a very familiar opponent coming up. It's a whole different team than you faced before, but you know the names down there in that greater Boston area. St. Mary's of Lynn prevailed over Archbishop Williams earlier today. Any chance that anyone was able to see that game? I know there's a network that carries that if you pick up the app. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to see it or not, but they played at the TD Garden, and it was a close one. It went right down to the wire, but I'm sure your girls are going to be ready for this team this coming Saturday.
Yeah, we actually watched. We were getting reports. I had actually 2 people down there today at the game, and we were actually watching the end on somebody's phone in the gym. We had about 20 of us huddled on this little phone.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of funny, and it was tied, and St. Mary's hit that 3 with 5 seconds left, and all the kids erupted. I think, certainly they're both really, really good teams, but, the Archbishop just presents a so much different look for us and probably difficulties than St. Mary's, just from the standpoint of the physicality and size. I mean,
Right.
Archbishop has got almost 5 girls on the court over 6 feet, or between 5'10" and 6'3".
Right.
And even though they're a little bit slower, and I thought we could press them a little bit, you still have to deal with them on
Right.
the other end when they
Right.
get the ball down there. Where St. Mary's is much more manageable. They got one big girl, and don't get me wrong, they're a really, really good team. They got a good point guard. They got great shooters. That's how they won the game today against the Archies. And it was going to have to be the same type of game if we ended up playing them. They knocked down shots, and so it's a huge challenge for us. But from that standpoint, at least we match up physically, which I can honestly say in 4 previous times we haven't had that opportunity.
Right.
We really haven't. We've been overmatched physically in every state final we've been in.
Right. Well, Coach, as always, we want to thank you for joining us here on High School Basketball Weekly. We really appreciate you giving us the time. It's so insightful to us to learn, what is going on with the team. And you guys have had a great season this year. It's been a real pleasure to cover you guys. And Northern Berkshire Community Television will be there in some form on Saturday, whenever they announce when the game's going to be played and where it's going to be played, yet to be determined. But we'll be there covering it for Northern Berkshire Community Television. We want to wish you and the Lady Hurricanes the best of luck in the Division III State Championship coming up this Saturday.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for all your coverage for us and everything. And, we're fortunate. We're excited, and we're actually heading down Friday, so we're going to be practicing down in Worcester on Friday and staying over.
Great.
And getting ready for the game. So,
Great.
So, the kids are excited.
Great. Congratulations and best of luck
Congratulations,
on Saturday, Coach.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Rick. Thank
All right.
you.
That's head coach Ron Wojcik of the Lady Hurricanes. And Rick, he's talking about it. St. Mary's a little bit more size-wise to the liking of Hoosick Valley. Still a great team, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Those teams, they're arch rivals down there, Archbishop Williams and St. Mary's of
Correct.
Lynn. And I've had the opportunity to cover a couple state championship games, one against St. Mary's of Lynn, one against Archbishop Williams. So we're going to do it all again.
Yep.
Saturday, March 16th. They're not sure yet. Possibly at WPI or possibly at Holy Cross. They're not sure yet. Hopefully that'll come out soon. But it's definitely in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
time to be determined.
Yeah, that should be announced. You want to check it in the paper. They'll have that time and date announced. There's just a little bit of uncertainty. They're waiting for the teams and the location to be finalized. But as for Hoosick and Millis, if you're interested in seeing that game is coming up right after High School Basketball Weekly. It'll be shown right after we go off the air here, and it'll also be shown again on Friday tomorrow at 5:30 on Friday the 15th at 5:30, and Monday again the 18th at 3:30. So you get a chance to see that great game between Hoosick and Millis Mohawks coming up. And of course, Rick, you're going to be down in Worcester to cover the Division III State Championship. We really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, we want to thank you for all your coverage this year.
My pleasure, Tim.
You guys have done a great job. And for the folks at home, they don't really realize I'm just really a mouthpiece here on High School Basketball Weekly. All of this wonderful information each week is put together by Rick, and he does a great job along with our producer-director, Peter Gentile, who does not get enough credit for what he does here on High School Basketball Weekly. And our final show next week, Rick.
Yeah.
High School Basketball Weekly. We're going to be, going over the all Berkshire teams, and
Yeah, we'll do the boys and girls, and we'll see how close we came to our preseason picks, and see if they made our outright picks.
And hopefully we'll be talking about a state championship
That'd be
for
wonderful.
the Lady Hurricanes.
That'd be great.
So until next week, Tim Morey for Rick Buell saying good night for High School Basketball Weekly.
So long, everybody.